G'day everyone, welcome to Porsche Talk Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Marc, from the occasionally on YouTube channel, Marc and Cars, and I'm joined with Ajmal. G'day Ajmal.
Hello, I'm Black Cab Driver of YouTube, that channel that nobody watches, and it's good to be here.
Good to hear. It's so we had a cracker last week, didn't we, with But Kirkins rhymes with gherkins.
Yes. Oh, it was brilliant. And bizarrely, he's been in London this week.
Did you catch up with him?
I should have done, but he's been busy doing shoots, and he was in Oxford, which is kind of up the road from me.
Don't you live in like Oxfordshire or something like that?
Yeah, I live in sort of South Oxfordshire.
Oh,
and Oxford's probably about
a whole kilometre away. Okay.
Well, an hour, which is a long way in England, as we've discussed before. For us Brits, that's a long drive. But you know, it's. But I've been on. I should warn you. I'm in a proper, not a foul mood, but like a proper bitching about stuff mood.
Oh yeah, this is going to be good then. I'm looking forward to this. So
well, this week's just been a bit mental, and the good part of it has been that. I've been primary parent for my 3-year-old, and it's just been me and her hanging out.
Good fun.
And that's been brilliant.
Yeah.
We've done literally nothing else. So apart from get out, we go out on her bike, we go to different coffee shops, we go to different parks, we watch, awful TV, but mostly not awful TV. Mostly we've been watching Toy Story. So it's been pretty good. So that's been fantastic. But just how difficult it is to even get the most mundane thing done. And that, I know this is going to go way off topic, but contacting different companies, and this is my job normally, is customer experience, customer contact, technology, architecting, all that stuff. And then everybody talks about doing this amazing stuff, and it's AI, and it's this, and it's cloud, and blah, blah, blah. And then, and also, empathy and whatever it might be, personalization. And I call it my insurance company because I sold my MG.
Oh, yeah.
I called them up, and it's a small classic car insurer. So they gave me a really good deal. Been insured with them for probably 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
And so I canceled the policy. And it's 3 months in, and they go, right, the policy that you've taken, even though you're paying it by month, you've got to pay up the rest of the policy. That's the kind of policy you have.
What?
So I've got to pay up the rest of the year.
No wonder you got shit on the liver today.
Well, yeah, exactly. And then the next, so I say to them, hang on. So I've got my boxster parked out. Why don't I just insure that?
Same policy, move it over.
Yeah. So change it over, and then they come back with a massive quote. And I know I can get it much cheaper somewhere else. So I say, fine, cancel it. Just, take the payment from my bank account. They don't do that. It's like, I've used 2 months, and it's like I still owe them 150 quid. So they don't do that, and they send me an email saying, you owe me this much money. So I phone them up, and I'm on the phone for half an hour waiting in a queue.
Yeah, so you'd have been in a great mood by this point.
Well, yeah, 3 minutes of it are them telling me about all of the policies. Your call might be recorded. We're an insurer, financial conduct authority, blah, 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 blah. And then press 1 for this, press 2 for that. So 3 minutes in, I'm watching the clock on my phone. 3 minutes in, I'm still hearing that stuff. Then I'm in a queue for probably 15 minutes.
Yep.
I get through, and the lady says, no, you don't owe us any money. Right? Because, and I went, well, hang on, I've got this letter. And she goes, oh, yeah, that file's closed. So our finance provider is this other company.
Yep.
You need to contact them. I'm like, I've never heard of this company. What are you talking about? She goes, don't worry, I'll put you through. So she puts me through, and I wait another 5 minutes in the queue. And I get through, and then, when you've got to say who you are again?
Yeah, you go through the whole rigmarole again.
Exactly. What's your date of birth? What's your, first pet's name? Blah, blah, blah. So I do all of that. And then I'm on hold for while she goes away and checks. And she goes, no, you got to go back to them. So she goes, don't worry, I'll put you through. So 40 minutes. I'm on the phone 40 minutes at this point. So I'm like, I'm about to completely lose it.
Is this today?
So this morning.
Yeah, okay. Explaining your mood right now. Yeah.
So she puts me back through. And I'm on, in a queue again. I go through all the press 1 for this, that, whatever. I get through, and So I get through to somebody and I tell her, look, it's like 45 minutes. I've just been over there. I've explained it again. I'm explaining it now to you because remember, when I get back through, I've got to
Different
explain
person.
who I am again.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah. And what my policy number is or why I'm calling.
Yeah.
And by this point, I have to take a deep breath every time I start a new sentence. So I say, so she looks and then she goes away. I'm on hold, awful hold music. And then she comes back and she goes, no, you definitely need to go to them. But what's happened is the file hasn't closed yet. So they got to close the file. And I went, well, how do you know how much I owe then? And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I use the F word.
Yeah.
I'm not effing happy. I just need this thing sorted. I'm trying to pay you money. I do not want you to send me a threatening letter.
Yep.
So now I've got no recourse. I've got to wait. I've got to wait for them to send me a letter saying this other company that you owe us some money that I've never heard of before. And that's been the start to my day. It's been really rubbish.
Yeah, you've had a mediocre one, I'd say, but
yeah,
that is what it's like living in today's modern society, Ajmal, when you've got to deal with these. And let's face it, there's fewer and fewer insurers that are underwriting companies these days. So like there might be 12 insurers out there, they're all using the same underwriter, aren't they? And it's ultimately what it comes back to.
Exactly. But, that's not the only thing. That's not the only thing that I've been bitching about.
Oh, come on, let's get it all off your chest right now. Come on.
All right. So this is like my therapy. Because, I bought a family wagon, right?
Yes.
So we bought an Audi A3, 2009.
Yeah, shithouse
1.6. Yeah, 1.6 TDI, and it's for £2,000. So not a lot of money, but it's going to be a bit of a wagon, going down to the tip,
sure,
moving the family around, and it's reliable and it's safe and it's quite presentable. But it's got 175,000 miles on it. And so I get in it and I drive it. I go and have a look at it, and I'm like, actually, I don't really care. It works,
Well, today
I watched
it works today.
Car throttle video where they talk about don't be afraid of high mileage. I think fine, it's £2,000, it's fine. So I get that home, and I used to have an Audi A3. That's a 2009. I used to have a 2010.
Oh yeah, you had the new one. Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, much. It was the S-Line. What was it? It was the longest name in the world. It was S-Line,
S-Tronic,
Black Edition, Sportback, Quattro.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, loaded. Yeah, sure.
And I remember the thing that really used to pee me off about it was that the vents in the middle, just above the sat-nav, they always used to break.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they'd all all the little flaps would be pointing in different directions.
Oh, yeah, that is shit, yeah.
So I'm a bit OCD. I'd sit there pointing them all in the same direction, just so they look like they were proper ones.
So they look like they weren't broken. Yeah, okay.
They weren't. Yeah. And my daughter would get in and run her hands across it, and you'd be sat there going, oh. But anyway, I fixed those, and it was a real bugger to fix. So I get in this one, and I think, oh God, all four of the vents are broken.
They are?
So yeah, I take them out, I fix them. I put them back, and I put one of them back, and it's got a blade running through the middle of it that keeps the fins pointing in the same direction. I put one of them back, and the blade just falls out.
Down, back into the car?
Into the car, it falls next to the ashtray. And you see it in slow motion, and it falls. And it's a chance in 1 trillion, I suspect. There's a tiny, exact size as the thickness of that thing, which is paper thin, and it slid straight down. It didn't hit the sides; it slid straight down the side. so now I've bought secondhand 4 different ones. They look a bit different. I don't really care because
it sounds like you care a lot, Ajmal.
Well, I care that I want things to work properly.
That's a £2,000, 12-year-old diesel hatch.
Yep.
Let it go.
It is a mighty 104 brake horsepower.
I reckon that could be less than your 912.
Well, so when my wife drove it for the first time,
yeah,
and she said, I don't care what it is. it's fine. She said, I'd rather drive this than your Porsche.
Yeah, fair cop.
Because she said for me, it's more comfortable. It's easier.
Sure.
It's a very easy to drive car.
And how's that going 2 weeks in?
About 10 days. 10 days
10
in.
days.
And but the thing is, it's so slow that you come out of our driveway and you go up a hill. And the first time I was sat with her when she was driving it, because we happened to be going somewhere, and she went to go into fourth. And I'm there going, oh, I don't. You're being a bit ambitious. Don't go into fourth. And we start almost going backwards. And she looked at me and she went, I've gone from 310 brake horsepower to this. Because she used to drive the Golf R.
Yeah, the Golf R. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. And she went, no, it's fine. It's fine. It's a wagon. It just needs to work for 2 years while we trash it. And then we'll get something that we like.
Well, in Australia and the US, I'm not sure what the situation is with the UK, but this week the Golf R's all come out. The Golf 8R comes out this week.
Ah. Because it's
and it is
it's
copped a belting. No one likes it.
It has, because it came out. The reviews were out probably 6 months ago over here.
Everyone likes the old one better.
Yeah,
and that's why you got the good money for it.
Well, yeah, because one of the things I was thinking about the Mark 8 is that it's all touchscreen. Everything, even the sat nav, is touchscreen, whereas the old one, it just had a brilliant. You got in, you twiddled this left, right, turn it up, turn it down, turn the fan up and down really quick. You didn't have to look at it. And now it's all touchscreen. I hate that. Even on the old one, the touchscreen, when you touch something and you go over a bump and you press the wrong thing, and then you go, I don't know how to get back from there now. And I'm doing, 75 miles an hour on the motorway.
Yeah, I find I've only been in a GDI. I haven't seen a Golf R yet, but I've seen a Golf 8 GDI up close, but sat in it. Haven't driven one, but, had a touchy-feely. The interior is stunning.
Yeah.
The seats, the touch points, the finish. It's like, I reckon it's better than RS3. And that was a GDI. But it'd want to be, because here in Australia, it is an expensive car. We're going to talk about how dear cars are in Australia in a moment, but we'll come back to that in a moment. I don't want to talk about that yet. But it is a very expensive car in Australia, the GDI. So the Golf R is going to be the next level again. Let's face it, like the R is always over the GDI, right?
Well, have you seen the 7.5R, Mark 7.5?
Yes.
And the GTI. Is the Mark 8 GTI a leap above that?
The Mark 8 GDI drive away price is probably £4,000 greater than a 7.5R.
Wow.
But that's VW having a go as well at the moment, let's face it. And why shouldn't they? If they're producing cars and people are willing to pay for it, they'll just keep charging, won't they? And that's just cars everywhere at the moment if you buy a new car.
That is true. That is true.
Again, we'll come back to that. Let's not talk about car prices right now, because we know we're going to talk about car prices shortly.
Oh, can I just bitch about one more thing?
Yeah, Ken, let's hear it. Come on, get it off your chest. Come on.
It's my broken finger.
You still got a bloody rubber band on it.
Well, I've got it when I'm moving around doing stuff because it catches on stuff.
Why don't you put a splint and bandage the thing up, you clown?
No, because then I can't bend it at all, and it's really difficult to do anything.
If you bend it, it's going to hurt. It's broken.
No, it hurts when I bend it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't bend away from the other finger next to it, so the elastic band does
Is this
help.
at football?
This was at football,
Look, you're a broken down old racehorse that's never going to win another race. I think it might be time to let this go, find another hobby, okay?
I thought you were going to say it's time you were put down. It's time you were put out of everybody's misery.
Straight to the glue factory, you reckon?
Yeah, exactly. No, it's fine. It's like the first day, obviously it was agony and it ballooned. And then I thought, no, I've just sprained it. I went to bed and I woke up and it was all misshapen and pointing in the wrong direction. And you go, oh yeah, it is broken. so I had to bend it back into shape, and I put the elastic band has been brilliant.
Oh yeah, look, every doctor recommends it.
They do.
They probably don't.
It probably would have been, like a Pfizer elastic band that the NHS would have paid. Like
then it would have been fine.
For.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
This one I found on the ground, but it's it's really done the trick. 'Cause I think the bones are now fused. I can feel the bump.
Oh, yeah,
So
it's great. Yeah.
I'm going to play football again on Monday, and I might put duct tape on it.
Okay. I'm looking forward to hearing how this pans out for you.
Fine.
While we're on this, I want the listeners to know how much I want a video of our podcast to go up. So I'm actually recording it, and I'm going to give it to Ajmal. I'm going to edit it just so he gets the bloody thing up, okay? So,
right, let's do it. Let's do it.
To that end, for any listeners that actually do watch our podcast, hold your splint up to the camera for us. Come on, show us. Yeah, this looks ridiculous. In fact, this looks like something a year 9 child would do.
Yeah, but the thing is, you've missed out on when on the second day it was literally completely blue, and I thought it was going to fall off.
Yeah, that would have been a better shot. Okay, fair enough. Yep. In fact, if you follow,
blue, and my wife was like,
if you follow Ajmal's Instagram, inevitably there'll be a picture of it.
No, I didn't take one of the when it was at its
really?
blue.
Mate, you take photos of rubbish and post it. How can you not post something as good as a blue finger?
I don't know. I think it was because I was like primary parent and I was too busy having a nice time with my daughter.
Fair. Yeah, okay. Hey,
but it went very blue.
While we're talking about our podcast, let's talk about how many Prosecco companies in the north of Italy approached you this week after the last podcast.
Oh my God, you won't believe it, but none.
That is one more than me. I got none either. So if there's any Italian listeners out there that just happen to be sipping Prosecco sitting in the north of Italy, we are still open to the options. But what I would like to do, before I talk about my week, is I always done a bit of a cleanup in the study/podcast area. We also keep a lot of junk, right? And during the growth of my YouTube channel, I've approached a lot of companies for channel sponsorship, funding to come on the channel, etc. Right? And I found quite a lot of items that I've not used or done anything with, and I think I'm going to use them as giveaways for our podcast.
Oh, nice. Are they now collector's items?
They're not that old, right?
Oh.
But I haven't decided how we'll give it away yet, but we'll come up with something between us. Timex sent me a heap of watches.
No?
Timex USA, Timex Australia, couldn't get oxygen out of them. Timex USA, no worries, give us your address, let's send some over and have a discussion. So I've got a Timex. Brilliant. The box. It's like a army green style watch, brand new, never even put on a wrist. Still got all the plastic and everything on it, the covers. It's a chronograph, quartz watch with a NATO style band. I don't know how much the thing's worth. Probably worth $150, you reckon?
Well, Timex is like a budget brand.
It is,
that's
yeah.
a nice looking watch.
Yeah, I think it's pretty smart. It's too big for my wrist, obviously. Look at that. Look, I've got quite effeminate little wrists. But
I thought that was the thing. You're supposed to wear a massive watch.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't need to overcompensate for that. I'll overcompensate for other things. But I've got this Timex watch. I've got other watches too from other companies that have sent watches to me. So we'll do those in future episodes. But if you're watching some video, hang on. If you're not watching this video, if you are actually just listening, it is a Timex army green colour with a black face, numerals on it. Looks like it's got a chronograph on it, 3 buttons. I reckon it's about a 43mm dial on it with a NATO style band. If you're half starter on that, you send us a message, either Ajmal or I, and tell us why you should be given it, and I'll post it to you.
That is awesome. Because I did that on, what did I send? I sent one of those Google smart speakers.
Oh, yep.
I can't remember how I ended up with one. And I just didn't use it. It sat in a box in a drawer.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sold some. Do you remember that I refurbished the rear seats on my 912?
Really?
And I ended up. Yeah,
where'd you find the horsehair?
They were the horsehair ones, and my car didn't come with any.
Ah, okay.
So I went and bought some for like 20 quid off eBay.
Sure.
But they needed refurbishing, and I thought, you know what? Actually, there's another set that I can get, which is really cheap. And between the two, I think I spent £60.
Sure.
And between the two, I managed to do one good set.
Yeah,
but
okay,
I had this sort of broken set left.
Yeah, yeah.
I thought, you know what? I'll stick that on eBay, and anyone who guesses, I'll start on 1 penny.
Yeah.
And the person who guesses the closest that it's going to end on can have that, and I'll post it out to them. And so I sold, I think it was something like 56 pence.
The seats went for 56 pence.
Yeah. Because, people chance their arm,
Of
when
course
they're
they
selling
do.
stuff and they want a load of money. Like,
I've got a great story like that.
Tell me.
I reckon it was about 95 or 96. Oh, this is going to be right in your sweet spot. I'm going to talk English cars here, right?
Oh, my God.
I'm a sympathiser for the Ford Anglia 105E, right? Before Harry Potter. Before Harry Potter. Let me make this clear, right? That I've got to be honest with you, Harry Potter just destroyed it for me. But I love the styling of it. Okay, I can't help myself. What do? I love the backward window. I love the fins.
Hang on. So you were a sympathiser for it when it was more uncool than it is now?
Yes. Right.
Okay, let's get that clear.
I've owned two of them, right? Anyway, hang on, this story goes back. Actually, hang on, listeners, we will talk Porsche in a minute. Now, this this goes back before then. This would be, I reckon 94. I was riding my bicycle down a relatively main road, and there's an old garage, when I say garage, attached to a house, old horse stable, old house, probably similar to what you live in, actually. That's sort of a million years old, right? Cavemen lived in there. And the anyway, it was open a little bit, and I saw the fin. I knew a 105E fin when I go past, as I glance, as I ride past. Oh, it's 105 in there. Stop, go back, stick my nose in. It's sort of half uncovered, and the thing's a million years old. This car, right? And it looks like it's been in there forever. So I go knock on the door. This old duck answers the door. She would have been 80 if she's a day. I said, what's going on with the car in the shed there? She goes, that was my husband's. He passed away 24 years ago. Been paying the rego. Rego is what we call the MOT or the motor insurance or whatever it is, right?
So it's still road legal?
Yep, road legal, right? But I haven't started in that long. Oh, okay. I said, what are you doing with it? I love these cars. I'd love to buy it off you. She goes, well, people have asked me, but you're the first one that says you've loved them. So how about $500? I said, deal. I'll be here tomorrow. I'll come pick it up. I'm going to drive it home. Hasn't been driven in 24 years, right? Anyway, I go there the next day. The thing is original paint. I think it's a 63 off memory. I'm just going off memory here. Anyway, got the car, dumped all the fuel out of the fuel tank, put the fresh fuel in, bled the brakes, started up like that, like your MG did after being in storage. Remember the story you said about that? Same thing. Whoa, okay. Good motors, actually, those original 105E motors. I think it's a 1 litre or 1.1 litre or something like that. Anyway, drive it home, get out the cut and polish, give it a bit of a buff, came up a treat. Everything's bog stock. But I worked for VDO in this period. So I was doing a lot of gauge restoration and all that sort of stuff and rally computer work. Anyway, and I had a good workshop that I could work in. I actually got another glove box off another 105E because it's the same shape for left and right-hand drive the 105E was for both markets. Right. And I got a set of Smith's gauges out of a GT Cortina that I bought at auction having a go exactly how this person for 56 pence did. So it was a Mark II GT Cortina, 1600, twin Webers, extractors, close ratio gearbox, the whole box and dice. It had a rear end at an auction house. So I go to, insurance company. So I go to the insurance company's yard where they have the vehicles up for tender. Whoever gets the highest tender puts in the most amount of money anonymously, gets to win the car. I got a Mark II with a rear end that I didn't need any of. I just wanted all the disc brakes out of it. I wanted all the gearbox. I wanted the motor and the gauges and everything out of it, put in my Anglia for $46.
Oh, wow.
It cost me more to tow it to the yard than it did to buy the And then once I emptied everything out of it I wanted, I put all the old stuff out of the Anglia back in just in the passenger seat and everything, called a wrecker, and he gave me $50 for the wreck.
Wow. Because that's the thing with this 56 pence that I sold the seats for. The guy sent a courier to pick them up.
Did he Really? Would have cost him £30 to pick the seats up that cost him 56
At
pence.
least, yeah, because the courier came from London, which is 45, 50 miles away.
Yeah.
I thought, wow, that was pretty, significant investment for him, but he must have really wanted them.
Oh, clearly. Yeah.
But yeah, I've struggled. It's easier to sell something than to give it away over here.
Well,
if you give it away,
I've actually joined I know you hate Facebook, right? So I'm not going to do a promotion for Facebook here, but I'm on a marketplace for our suburb that says if you got something free, put it on there and they'll come and get it from you. Mate, how good is that to empty your shed out of just rubbish and know it's going to get reused instead of thrown out,
That doesn't work over here.
What?
Because my wife's on it. So the amount of stuff, like especially baby stuff that we have,
yeah, sure,
it's like tons of it. So we say, well, I've got this brand new, it's used up, but I power washed it and it looks brand spanking new, costs us £600. It's a push share.
Yep.
And 10 people come to you and say, oh, I'll have it. So you just go to the first one and say, it's yours. You just need to come and collect it.
They don't turn up.
They'll say, no, the first thing they say is, are you around on Tuesday the week after next? And you're like, God, I've got to keep it for another 10 days. And you go, okay.
Yeah, okay, I get it.
So it's sat in your front room, while you're in your dining room while you're waiting for them to come around.
Mm-hmm.
Then they don't show up. Then you contact them again and they say, oh, I'll be there tomorrow. Then they don't. So you go to the next person and then they mess you around. You go to the next. If you just go, you know what, it's £20. Someone will just come and take it away because they know they've got to pay £20. When it's free, everybody messes you around, and it's every single time that I've tried to give something away.
Okay, yeah.
People mess you around, and it's like, I sold an old steering column off my MG with a steering wheel attached to it.
Yep.
And I just wanted rid of it, but I didn't want to bin it because it was too good to throw in the bin.
Yep.
Again, I'll put it on eBay for a penny. It sold. So I bought a replacement one because it needed a different size at the top for original steering wheel. So I bought one for £52.
Yep.
This one sold for 11 pence with the steering wheel. Right? So I think fine, because, I just need somebody to be able to use it and not put it in the bin.
Yeah.
And in the ad, I put, it's perfectly usable, serviceable, it's in good condition, it comes with a steering wheel.
Yep.
And the buyer must collect.
Uh-huh.
So the guy messages me straight away and he goes, I've paid you the 11 pence by PayPal already. And I'm thinking, okay, great. And then he goes, can you stick it in the post to this address? And I went, no, did you not read the ad? And I went, I'm not going to pack something up, walk to the next village.
Did you have to refund him his 11 pence?
For 11 pence.
Did you have to refund it to him?
Well, no, I did. Yeah, I refunded him the 11 pence.
That is classic.
And the thing, that was 2 years ago. It's still in my shed. So if anybody needs a 1969 steering column with like a 70 steering wheel on it for an MGB.
Are we turning into a swap meet?
Oh no, that's another giveaway. No, that's not. That's not a giveaway.
Like, listen, now the last week, I'm going to tell you what I did on the weekend, Ajmal.
Tell me.
I went out with the Porsche Club of Western Australia to a track day here in Perth. Our metropolitan racetrack is called Wanneroo Raceway. It's in the northern suburbs, about 45 minutes drive north of where I live, and took my Yaris on the track for the first time.
And?
A lot of fun, as you'd anticipate. There's been a lot of mucking around. I had to get the race seat all sorted out so I could use the harnesses and the front head restraint, all that sort of stuff. And great experience. I haven't been on that track since the mid-90s, and the last time I went on it was on a motorcycle. Okay, so the track itself feels very narrow in a car compared to being on a motorcycle, and the way you use it is very different in a car compared to a motorcycle. So they're not very, like I was familiar with the layout of the track, but the way it, especially with this car I've got with the GR Yaris, it was a lot of fun. I had great improvements over the day. I'm actually going again this Saturday they've got an open day there, so it's a tuning day. So anyone who's a member of any of the car clubs can come and use the track for the day. So I'm going to go on Saturday and have another crack just to see if I can bring my times down to what most half-decent GR Yaris drivers are doing on that track. So it was a good day.
So are there? Hang on, I've got a couple of questions, but then I'm going to ask you a question because I did see your video that you posted about the seat.
Yes.
Now, so you see, there's other Yaris drivers there. And
they weren't there on the day, but I do know other Yaris drivers in WA that use the track regularly.
Right. Okay. Because the thing, I mean, we've talked about this before. The thing about the Yaris is when I drove it, I just felt like it's so grippy. It's just so grippy, and the way that wheelbase is so short and wide.
Yep.
And the back, the wheels are so wide
big
compared to its size that and when I drove it, I was driving around the country lanes, and I just thought I don't have the driving skills to push this car anywhere near what it's capable of. And when I do, I feel like when it lets go, I don't have the skills to get it back. It's going to be gone. It'll be like because you'd be at such a high speed when it lets go.
Sure.
And I always think, is that what it's like on the track?
I've had a couple of moments. I'm a relatively conservative driver. I'm in the 5% of men, not the 95% of men who think they can drive.
I'm also in that 5%.
Do you know what I mean? So I'm conscious of my limitations and am willing to learn to improve rather than thinking I'm a good driver. If you sort of understand what I mean. To that end, I'm risk averse on the track. So I didn't go out like a bull out of a pen at a rodeo. I was more of a let's just see and improve as I go through the day. And that was reflective in my lap times. Like my first session, I think I was doing like 1 minute 21 laps. And by the end of the day, I was doing 1 minute 12. So it's a pretty vast improvement over such a short track. So, but Yaris drivers who are very good on the track and are good drivers are doing about 106s in the same sort of spec car.
That sounds doable though, doesn't it?
Yeah. So look, I'll see as I improve. With regards to the car, I would say it's almost square in its wheelbase and track. Not quite, but it feels like it when you're in it. The example you gave, when it does let go, and I had a few four-wheel slide moments, it does feel correctable. Like it's about to go. Oh, it's going. Oh, this is what I've got to do to fix it, and you're off and again. You know what I mean? So it is like a rally car, if you get my, and that's what it was designed to be. So to that end, it is actually the balance of the car's incredibly good, mainly because the motor is so light and the battery and everything's in the back end, and the car's front, rear. Look, it's a little understeery, but all four-wheel drive cars on the track tend to be that you overcome through suspension geometry and changing your driving style compared to a rear-wheel drive car. And I'm not that good yet, but hope to develop to get the best out of the car because I'm having a cracker of a time in it.
Oh, brilliant. That's good. So about your seat.
Yes.
That looked like quite a lot of work.
That, my friend, is an understatement. And that was because of two key reasons. One is I needed the seat higher than a conventional race seat generic bracket would work with.
Right.
That was one problem. So I was most race seat brackets go up to about 100 millimeters from their bolt mount to the eyelet mount in the seat. And it's pretty consistent where the eyelet mounts are across brands. But I need about 150. I'm a little guy, so it was inevitable, right? Also, when you get into a race bucket, the seat of the bucket is much lower than a conventional seat as well, obviously, right? So there was that problem. And the other problem is the seat center, when the seat is centered on the steering wheel, isn't centered on where the bolt mounts are in the floor of the car. The bolt mounts floor in the car were 40 millimeters closer to the outside of the car, so the seat is mounted offset. And when you buy seat brackets, they don't have that level of adjustment in them to achieve the outcome.
Right. Also, so I have another question about your video.
Yes.
Why did it sound like there was a siren going off towards the end of it when you were in your garage?
There probably was.
It sounded like a siren, but it could have just been like, you're because you're in Australia, it could have been, crickets. killer crickets. Or
Oh
something.
no, there was. Yeah, no, there was there were frogs. I remember. I know the video. When I was editing it, I thought, geez, a frog's allowed outside.
Yeah, it was loud. It was properly loud. It sounded like a car alarm going off just outside your house.
Well, I can't do anything about that. You know what I mean? I had to have the garage door open because it's too hot in the garage with the door down.
Yeah. He sat there sweating.
More importantly, I'm glad someone watched it, Ajmal. Thank you.
I thought they had decent. Well, I mean, I don't know.
I haven't looked at it since I published.
Low bar. Sorry?
I haven't looked at it since I published it.
Oh, no, I'm.
So there's probably comments on there that I'm going to have to respond to, isn't there?
Yeah, you'd have to respond to those. I always find that I have to respond to any comments that I get on mine.
Yeah, okay. Look, the Yaris stuff is hit and miss for me on my channel because I've got such a strong Porsche background. Oh yeah, look, it's okay. I've had 6,400 views.
Yeah, it's pretty good because they only went live. What, 2 days ago? 1 day ago?
When day did it go live? It'll say here. 2 days and 14 hours ago.
That's not bad, is it? That's pretty good.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what that is. You know, it's But yeah, anyway, so that was a lot of fun. Had the 356 out on. That was on Sunday. I think I had it out on Saturday Arvo. I took 356 out for a bit of a run. It was just bloody hot, and I was sweating like I was guilty in there. And the I've got the rear vent windows that are open with the clips, and I've got the front quarter windows pointed backwards so that directs air on me. But it's just hot here at the moment, Ajmal. Like right now it's 8:45 at night, and I can see on my computer here it's 29 degrees outside. So it's just the hot. February's hot in Perth. There's no getting around that. Like when I was out at the track on Sunday in the Yaris, it was 41. So
wow.
It's just, so you can imagine how hot, like I had to bleed air out of the tyres, get the air pressure down after every session, because I'd go out at 26 PSI in the tyres and come back at 39, so just because how hot the tyres get while you're out doing 4 laps or 6 laps or whatever it is,
Well, over here it's been gale force winds.
Yeah, lovely.
There's a storm. Storm. Brewing.
Sounds like the UK.
Yeah. That's it, man. It's February. It's not dead of winter, but the thing is today it's quite.
Well, you passed the dip. It's getting lighter again now. Let's face it, early in the mornings.
It is.
I know that because it's getting darker here, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. So for me, it's and this might go into another bitch about something. But before when I had a job, I used to hate the thing about getting up.
When it was dark.
It's dark. It's raining. It's cold. Going to the train station. Going to work in London, working for like 10 hours there, leaving the office, and it's cold and it's dark and it's raining.
That's misery. That's not home. That's not living.
Yeah, and then there was the whole thing of when we were in lockdown, and it was winter, and I just thought, do you know what? Winter is actually not that bad because I go out when I want, so I go out for a walk during the day.
Yep.
And I dress appropriately, and I'm not bothered about getting soaked or anything like that. And if it's cold and the sun's out, I don't really care. But everybody was talking about this is the new way of working, the world is going to change and things like that. Whereas a friend of mine went into London this morning, it was dark at 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And he went, the trains are around. Everybody's back doing exactly what they used to do before. And you just think, firstly, there's a lot of people who want to do that. They want to be out of the house. They want to be doing that. And I get that when it's, young people, they live by themselves or they live with their parents. And why not? They should be getting out and meeting other people.
Well,
but some of them. Sorry, go on.
I was just about to say, with regards to the weather, there's a classic cycling saying: "There's no such thing as bad weather. There's bad choice of apparel."
Yeah, it's that kind of thing. And whereas there's some people who are friends of mine, or people, colleagues that I've previously worked with, that they don't want to be in the house anymore because they have to deal with their children and speak to their wives. And I just think. And I always think...
How's that for a recipe for a happily ever after? Not?
Exactly. And you just think, what? Whereas I left my job because I was at home and I was too busy to go and talk to my children who are in the house. And you're there on a conference call or video call and I can hear them playing.
Yeah.
And all I can think is, I just want to go and say hello and have a little cuddle.
Yep.
And then you just go, before you know it, you've been on calls all day and you finish, and then you're straight into the bedtime routine. And by then, they're so frazzled, they don't want to look at you, they don't want to talk to you. And it's the opposite with so many people, and everyone's just going back to working exactly the same way as they used to before. And I don't understand the rush.
I'm in a fortunate situation. Some wouldn't see it as that, but I do, right? That my office, even though I work at home, my office is in a different time zone. So I work to that time zone. And at the moment, that's 3 hours ahead of me. Now, I know this doesn't work for all people. I appreciate that some people don't like getting out of bed. But I start work at 6. My work day starts at 6 a.m., which allows me to finish at 3. So I love it. I have a break from work at 7:30 to have breakfast with my family. You know what I mean? And then if then I'll walk my daughter to school, and then I'll come back and I'll work, and then I can go pick my daughter up from school at the end of the day. I feel very fortunate and privileged to be able to do this. I'm doing a job I love, and it's working within a lifestyle I'm happy and appreciative of.
See, that is pretty good, because that was one of the reasons I left, was that I'd promised my daughter something, and work were trying really hard for me to break that promise.
Yeah, okay.
And I kept saying, no, but you don't understand. The agreement I have with her is if I ever use the word I promise, and I haven't turned up, it's because I'm probably dead.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's talk Porsche.
Oh, are you sure?
Yeah. Well, let's face it. It's called Porsche Talk, the podcast, and we've had a good crack at a whinge, right?
I haven't finished with that yet, though.
And look, let's face it. We're only 40 minutes in.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
Really? Oh my God.
Now,
I'm sorry to all the listeners for me being bitching for 40 minutes about the world and everything in it.
Now, a few just Porsche news stuff. Did you hear about or see in the last couple of days a ship on fire in the Atlantic?
Yes.
It's supposed to be full of V-dubs and Porsches.
Australia. And it's just, this thing that we chatted about briefly, it's like, it goes straight into that, doesn't it? Because didn't Porsche say, we've got to make some more of those now? Because normally they do a run, don't they? Then they go, that's the end of that. But now, and obviously, prices in Australia are just ridiculous. And this is just going to make it worse.
Did you know that one of the cars on that ship is Matt Farah's new frozen berry Spider?
He didn't buy a frozen berry.
He bought a frozen berry Spider.
Why would anybody do that?
I would. I love it.
You love frozen berry?
I love frozen berry. I love pink cars.
Have I not heard this? It's not a great car colour.
Look, if we all like the same things, there'd be a woman that have a lot of men fighting over her.
Hang on, I don't know if I get that.
If we all like the same things, we'll all be attracted to the same woman.
Oh, that's true. Yes.
Or man. No, but whatever floats your boat.
Have you seen the frozen berry in real life?
I have. I'd have it like that.
And you still love it.
If I was, you know what? Look, Ajmal, I'll be honest with you. I'm not in a situation where I think it's a good idea to spend what a car of that caliber costs. Okay? Yeah. So we're talking window shopping.
Yeah, of course.
And when you're window shopping, don't get me wrong, if someone offered you a red Ferrari, you'd take it. But if you're window shopping, you'll think white or navy is not a bad option.
Well, yeah, true.
Hence the frozen berry.
But if you did have the means and you could have any colour and, paint to sample BS now.
Yeah, look, it depends on the car model. Frozen? I wouldn't take a frozen berry GT3, right?
But you would.
I would take a frozen berry Spider.
What? Well,
who else has got one?
Yourself and the world.
Who else has got one? Matt Farah doesn't.
Yeah, he hasn't got one. He hasn't got one.
It's sinking at the moment. Sorry, Matt, if you're listening, and we know you are.
Yeah. Hey, we were sorry to hear about your... Come and talk to us about it. but the thing is, I didn't think anything of it. When I first saw it on on social media everywhere online, I thought, it's another color, and it's another kind of
kooky
new thing that they're throwing out. Yeah,
and
sure. And then I saw it at the dealership. Now the dealership local to me is next to IKEA. So as you're driving past on the motorway,
you've mentioned before,
you see IKEA, and if you're in slow traffic or you're sat in traffic, you look over and you can see the cars outside the Porsche. It's Porsche GB. So, and I saw these 3 frozen berry Porsche, and all I could think was no.
Yes, and you know what? In years to come, because no one's going to buy it, 99% of people are thinking like you right now, right?
Yep.
What do you think? Yeah, it's going to be the new Ruby Stone Red, isn't it? In 20 years,
it's gonna be the new oil clapper. 1 year only, because it was shit.
Yeah, you might be right, but you know what? Those oil clappers, mate. You try and buy one. How expensive are they?
I know. It's just whenever now people trying to sell your old Porsche, and they go 1 year only.
For a reason.
They're selling it because the rarity, but it was 1 year only for a reason.
Yeah.
Because it was rubbish.
But look, Ruby Stone Red in a Carrera RS is still the preferred colour.
What was the red in the 80s that they went, this is a new crazy Indian red? Indian red.
What? Indian red. You mean Cassis? No, Cassis red. The one that's a light purple?
No. Because there was...
I've not heard of an Indian red in Porsche before.
Yeah, there was like Viper green, Indian red.
Indian red? You might be right. I'm just not familiar with it.
I don't want to Google it now. But last year, there was... who was talking about it? I think it was Jay Reed. He did a video on YouTube about...
Indian red.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm Googling it right now because I feel like I'm having the piss taken out of me. I'm not saying I know much about Porsche, right? But I reckon I would know if there was a colour called Indian red.
I think it's the G-bodied one.
It's a nice colour, but Indian red is a colour used in Indian motorcycles.
Hang on.
I will.
Hold the phone, caller. This is riveting listening and viewing for.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Indian red Porsche 911. I think it was like 83 or something.
There's look.
Have you found it?
Indian red is another name used in different markets for guards red.
Oh. Yeah, because
Indian red is not politically correct in North America.
Is it not?
No, it's not.
Is it because it's
Indian and red?
Yeah, but it could be a colour from India that's red. If
they choose to use a different term for the colour. Now, guards red, I know what you're talking about. That's the 80s, the red that isn't Ferrari.
Is that the same one then? Is that the same one? Why do I know it as Indian red then?
Because you don't live in North America and they may have used that term in the UK.
Yeah, that's probably why.
Possibly, I don't know. But look, if you go to 930, good colour. Like it is an iconic 930 colour.
Yeah, right? It is. From the 80s.
Yeah, 100%. That G-body, whale tail, the shark fin up the the rear wheel guard.
Yep. It's the Athena. Is it Athena? The posters from the 80s? They were Athena posters, weren't they?
I don't know.
Is that what they're called?
I don't know.
I think they're called Athena posters, and they had that red theme running through. It was the F40.
Yep.
It was the Ferrari 308.
Yep.
It was the 959, and it was the 911.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Countach, and they're all red.
So do you think that colour's still relevant?
Yeah, because you can still get.
You can spec it.
911.
It's not a PTS colour.
Yeah, you can. Well, you can spec almost anything now.
You can, but it comes at a very high fee if you're not choosing off the cuff,
and it takes a long time as well. Yeah.
That bit I'm not sure about. Like all new 911's delivery time it's not coming in the next month, right?
No.
At the moment here in Perth, delivery times are between 12 and 18 months on a new order.
Have you seen, I think in Australia especially, there's a few people buying new ones and flipping them.
Yeah, that's happening a bit.
As soon as they get it, they put like a
but
50
the problem with that is
premium.
The way Porsche is now, that's the last 911 you're ever buying. And do you really think you're going to make enough money out of it to never be able to buy a 911 again? You don't want that in your life, do you?
Well, I mean, if you put a $50,000 premium on it, does it seem worth it? If you're buying something for, I don't know, how much is a new one?
Look, flipping's only happening on GD3s. Flipping isn't happening on any other 911, right?
Is that because they're not more readily available, though, are they? Nothing's more readily available.
No, but there's more in the market. And you can only flip cars that are high in demand.
Yeah.
Because that's the market, supply and demand, Ajmal. That's how it works.
I guess this segues us nicely into the thing that we discussed the other week before we spoke to Bart.
Pricing?
We said we were going to talk about pricing, yeah. And we were going to look at...
We've got two pricing topics to cover here, right?
Yeah.
One is what a new 992 costs in different markets around the world and why. And the other one is used 911s with a reference vehicle that is common across markets. So let's start with the new car. You did the research and pricing on a 992 GDS, no options.
Yeah, so in
your
the
market.
In the UK, that is £111,380.
Now, you sent that information through to me, and a very fine gentleman who's in the process of restoring a 356A, Todd, Stone City Outlaw, also did the same for us in the US. And I've done the same here in Australia. And I've done the currency conversion across all three currencies for all three markets. So we can compare apples with apples where appropriate. Now, for the listeners, these are the drive-away prices. You go in, you cut them a check, you leave, you've got no more expenses involved on that day, okay? You said £11,380.
111.
Oh, sorry, £111,380.
Yep.
That same car, if you bought it in the US, converted to Great British pounds in today's market when I did the currency converter on Google, okay? So it may be up or down a bit, but it's not going to be a large fluctuation. That same car would cost you £101,409. So there's a £10,000 saving to buy that car in the US. Like for like.
Okay, I can understand that.
Why?
Normally, I think that it's the way the tax and VAT and things like that work over here.
Yeah,
I can
you know what?
that, but...
I'm not convinced on that, and I'll tell you why. The UK is the second largest Porsche market in Europe after Germany. You'd think volume and market share would dictate that they would be more competitive. I think Porsche UK is sticking their finger in the pie too deep.
I reckon there's an element of that, but I think the differences in tax between the US and the UK, VAT, is a thing as well. And also, the thing that I don't understand is how they can build a car, get it to the US, sell it for that much, and they can't get it to the UK, which is, from a water point of view, it's that far.
You'd think the shipping costs are less. In fact, they probably don't even put them on ships. They probably put them on trains to get them to the UK.
Yeah, exactly.
But that aside, you can discuss the pros and cons of different tax systems between countries, but that's not what this comparison's about, right? Because the three countries we're comparing, Great Britain, US and Australia, they're all developed first world nations, right? So to that end, well, let's assume quality of life, while fluctuates significantly, if you have means to buy a 911 in each country, your quality of life is probably okay in all three, all comparable.
Yeah.
So that's why I think, tax aside, VAT, GST in Australia or state taxes in the US, I don't think there's enough in it to dictate a £10,000 difference.
Yeah, it's a significant percentage.
Now, before we get into the real shock, or the sticker shock that I'm going to give everyone about what Australia has to deal with, right? That car in Australian dollars, if you bought it in the UK, is 210,000 Australian dollars. So the £111,000 is 210,000 Australian. Okay? If you bought it in the US, it's $191,000. Okay, so we've got a difference there of $19,000 difference.
Percentage-wise similar.
Yeah, that's right, that £10,000. Okay, comparable, right? However, that car to buy new in Australia is $348,000. Okay? It's actually $348,353. So the 200, to convert that back to the other currencies, to give listeners in the other parts of the world a reference, that's £184,495. So it's £185,000 almost. It's just over 251,000 US dollars.
God.
Compared to the 138,000 US dollars that same car is to buy in the US. That's almost double.
Yep. And it's what, 70,000 pounds, nearly 75 on top?
Yep.
In pounds.
Yes.
So tell me about the luxury tax thing.
Okay, so we have a thing called luxury car tax in Australia, where the federal government taxes vehicles that are coming into the country once they go over a certain threshold, and it's 33% of the vehicle's value over that threshold. Look, don't quote me on this, but I think the number's $66,000. So Australian. So anything over 66K, 33% tax on top of that amount over and above. But even still, that doesn't add up. So Porsche Cars Australia, who I love because they loan me cars, I suspect may be quite profitable here.
I think you need to find out.
Look, I don't want to bite the hand that feeds me.
Well, the thing is, though, hang on. So it's, let's just say, what, 66,000, over 66,000.
Yeah.
It's how much?
33%.
33%. So how can we work that back? I'm terrible at maths.
Oh, my goodness.
So how can we work out the cost of that car, brand new, without the luxury?
Without the LCT?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to get an update. I'm just going to get an update on the threshold, all right? Give me a moment. I want to confirm the threshold at the moment.
Because that... So you've got your normal tax.
It's 69,152 is the threshold at the moment, right? So 33% tax is chargeable on the amount over that. So let's have a look over here. Here's a spreadsheet I prepared earlier. So let's go that minus, what did I say? How much did I say it was? 69,152, right? Okay, so 33% on that. That gives us, if the car was bought in the UK, sorry about this riveting podcast, everyone, while I'm typing. Ajmal, can you talk about something while I'm doing maths, please?
Well, I was going to... I have got other things to rant about, but I don't know if this is the right moment. Because, I've ranted about calling insurance companies out events, new old way of working. And the other thing I was going to suggest, which we can talk about after this, is perhaps having maybe non-Porsche guests.
Oh, really? Who are you thinking?
I don't know yet, but I reckon we should think about it. I mean, and also we need to talk about, what I was going to say was we need to be, no, actually, I'll bring it up after. It's a separate topic altogether.
Okay.
Better not throw it out there.
Okay. Now I've got some good numbers here, right?
Okay, let's do it.
Okay. Here's what I've done. To work out the tax on the UK and US buy prices. Okay. So I've got the buy price converted to Australian dollars.
Yep.
Subtracted the threshold, which is 69,152.
Yep.
Added the 33% tax on the balance.
Yep.
And then added the 69,152 back.
Okay.
All right.
Are those numbers anywhere near the Australian buy price?
If I was to buy the car in the UK, the car should cost me $256,880.
Australian dollars.
Australian dollars. If I was to buy the car in the US, it'd be $231,850. The car is $348,000. It's still $100,000, more than $100,000 more.
Wow.
Now, don't get me wrong. We're talking large components of tax. We're talking $40,000+ of tax in that car, in the luxury car tax, right? And that's a lot of money. Yep. That's £20,000 in tax, right?
Yep.
But in the scheme of things, our GST is less than, but we only have 10% GST, which is your VAT, which is in the 20s, isn't it?
20%.
Yeah. So, your price of your $111,380, does that include your 20%?
Yep, that includes 20%.
So if I pulled that out of it, and I pulled my GST out, the gap would be even bigger.
Yep.
That's horrifying.
That's insane. But is that something to do also with availability? There
would be volume. Volume would have to be an issue.
Yeah.
Like we're talking about a country that's got 25 million people in it, Ajmal. Compared to you guys, what do you got? 60 million?
Yeah, a lot.
A lot. And they're all on the train going back to work in London at the moment.
They are, annoyingly. But because the market, so if you think about, let's say the new GT3's come out, right? Let's say the new GT3 Touring.
I don't want to talk about it. Yeah, keep going, yeah.
But how many of them get sent to Australia as a whole country?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's got to be a small. Yeah. Because
Australia gets sympathetic numbers on a lot of cars, though. Australia is still looked at favourably by Porsche because we were their first export market outside of Europe. And as a result, there's a long-term or a long-standing good relationship. Like we got a special GT3 that no one else in the world did to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Porsche Cars Australia.
Oh, wow.
I think it was 25 of them or something got made in an old 356 colour, so with an Australian flag painted on the B pillar type thing to celebrate the 70th anniversary of Porsche Cars in Australia. It's the first time they've done a special GT3 for a market.
Or is it because they're celebrating making so much money out of Australia?
Well, it sounds like it right now, doesn't it?
It does.
Well,
let's put that into perspective.
It sounds like they're pulling $100,000 profit out of a GDS each time they sell one. That's what it sounds like, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, additional $100,000.
Yeah, on top of what the normal other markets are making already.
So let's put that into perspective then. Like, the Porsche market as a whole in Australia.
Yep.
So, I mean, you talked about having a reference point.
Yes.
So over here, if I bought a brand new Yaris,
GR Yaris, yep.
GR Yaris, yeah, it's 33, maybe if you optioned it, it'll go up to £35,000.
Yeah, at the moment on Auto Trader, 34 will get you a good one, right? Used.
Yeah. Yeah, used.
Yeah, we can't buy new ones anymore. They're done, right?
Yeah. But new they were probably the same price. They were the same price. That's how much they were new.
Yep.
As well. Yep. And if I wanted an entry level 911 and I wanted to be driving around in one.
Yes.
And I went on Auto Trader and I went, I want one with decent history. I want one with decent mileage.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm looking, let's say we've got a bit of a budget. I'm looking 15. If I want to go really, really out there and want super low mileage and super known history and in immaculate condition, I could head towards £20,000.
I did some research on this topic because we discussed it.
Yep.
20 is what you're paying for the type of car you'd buy if you're in the market for a 996 C2 manual coupe.
Yep.
Right? And that's the IMS has been done. The example I looked at had 93,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
So sub 100,000 miles. I compared the cars across all three markets in for a 996. Right? That was 19,995 and it was at a dealer, so it had a warranty, right?
Yeah.
So that's, to me, that seemed relatively middle of the ground. There were a couple of really low K cars. There were some shockers that were high Ks that were highly modified that were £12,000, right? But generally, if you want a good one, 20 is the number. You know, if you're
that's fair for that type of car.
Yeah, if you're an enthusiast looking for that car. So the Yaris will cost you 34.
Yep.
The 996 will cost you 20.
Yep.
As a base reference, power to weight ratio, not that far apart, those two cars.
That's fair based on.
They're both around the 5 second 0 to 100, 5 to 5.5 second 0 to 100 or 0 to 62 time, right?
Yep.
In the US, on Auto Tempest, a similar spec car to that 996 is about 23.5 to 24,000 US dollars, which is about 17,500 pounds. So again, a little bit cheaper, probably about the same ratio as what a new GDS is as well as a percentage. You know,
yeah. I mean, in the UK, I'd probably say that kind of 996, I'd say, you know what, let's look at it's 50% compared to what? Should we say as a round number, it's 50% compared to what you pay for a Yaris?
Yeah, it's a little bit more than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more, but you know, just for the sake of the number.
About 60, 65%, I reckon the number is. But anyway, look, let's run with 50 for argument's sake.
Yep.
Right? And that makes that 17.5 of a US car.
Yeah.
Comparable.
That's it, yeah.
Right now, the only manual C2 996 with credible history, it's got 85,000 miles on it, is the converted equivalent of 40,500 pounds.
What? 100% more than it costs over here.
Yes.
Okay, so
now the Yaris in Australia, to give you a reference point, is in the market today about 50,000 Australian dollars. So our Yaris are actually a bit cheaper than yours, right?
Wow.
So, so 50,000, right?
Yeah.
So it's about 26,000 pounds at the moment. So our Yaris are cheaper as well, right?
Yeah.
So as a ratio of Yaris price to 911 price, so 26,000 pounds down to say 20 versus our $50,000 to $76,000, it's just the wrong way. It's the other extreme. It's not going backwards, it's going forwards.
So the Porsche in Australian dollars, the only manual decent 996 for sale is what,
76,500, and that's on car sales. Like I'm sure there are cheaper cars that are equally as good that are marketed elsewhere, right? But car sales is the Auto Trader of Australia.
Exactly.
And I've used
same here.
car sales in Australia. I've used Auto Trader in the UK, and I've used Auto Tempest in the US to compare the cars, right?
Yeah, in all of those markets, you'd be able to find cheaper ones. If you
of course you would. Yep, that's right.
Yeah.
But to compare middle of the market with middle of the market, I don't understand. Don't get me wrong, 996s are nice driving cars, right?
Yeah.
Are they 50% better than a Yaris? Because that's what the market's dictating right now as a value item. And look, in all fairness, the Yaris is probably in the depreciation slide now, and the 996 is on the upswing, right?
Yep.
So that gap's going to get wider before it's going to get closer.
Yep.
And your gaps are going to get closer before they're going to get wider, because your Yaris's there are going to start dropping in value over the coming 3 to 4 years. But I can't see your 996s dropping in value. They're at the bottom of the depreciation curve right now, aren't they?
Yeah. They're starting to go up.
Yeah, well, this is my point. So they've probably just recently bounced, and it's the same in the US with 996.
Yeah, because so when I bought mine 3 years ago now, and I remember a few months later, my brother was over from Sydney.
Yes.
And he had a little drive of it, and he thought, this is great. I could have a daily driver Porsche in Australia. It'd be amazing. And he came straight home, looked on car sales in Australia, and he went, no, this doesn't make sense. They cost 10 times more over there. How can this be?
Well, they are literally double the price.
Double the price. And so a 996 is 60% of the price of a Yaris over here.
Yep.
And over there,
the Yaris is 60% of the price of the 996.
That's insane. And I don't understand what's driving it. Is it just
supply and demand?
The demand.
Yeah.
Supply and demand.
Look, in all fairness, the gap between our Tiptronic cars, and our manuals is much bigger than what it is in your market. So I'd suggest you got more manuals in your market.
Yeah.
Whereas we had less. I think more Tiptronic cars were sold in Australia than as a ratio of 996 sales. And I'm comparing manual cars here.
Ooh.
Like if you get a Tiptronic, it's a solid 30% cheaper here in Australia for a Tiptronic car. Whereas that doesn't seem to be the case in the UK.
No, there's not. There is a difference, but it's not nearly as significant as over there. And you
can buy Tiptronic Cabriolet 996s for Yaris money here.
Over here, if you wanted a good one, I don't think it would be that different. You're probably looking at, it could dip to 15,000 maybe.
So mid-teens.
A really good one. Yeah. Of course, just like anybody, yesterday I was looking at how much money I've spent on my 996 since I've had it.
What would you do that for?
Because I want to do a video of my 3-year review. So I've done 10,000 miles, and I've had it 3 years. And I was looking at, and I follow somebody on Instagram, and she's got a YouTube channel. She's called, her name's Hannah. She's called Female Mechanic.
Sure.
And maybe around the same time I bought mine, she bought one as well.
Okay.
And I bought mine, and then when I was looking at, I saw her channel. She doesn't do a lot of stuff on there, but she's actually a mechanic, runs a garage. And she bought one for under £5,000.
Sure.
So I think it was a Carrera 4, it was a Tiptronic, but the thing is, I bought mine with an MOT, so it was roadworthy, it was manual, it was a hard top, and so all of those things I had tick boxes, and it was a hard top. but hers had a problem with the gearbox.
Sure.
And so she, instantly the money she spent on it once she got the gearbox fixed went above what I paid for mine.
Sure. Yeah.
So she's recently done a similar kind of thing where she's got to 8,000 something that she spent on it, but she's done quite a lot of cosmetic stuff to it. And
yeah, okay.
Obviously, her being a mechanic, I have to get stuff done.
Yeah.
Her being a mechanic, she's saving a lot of money. But when I was looking at that and I was thinking, well, actually, I've spent about £9,000.
Yep.
That's including, when you say the cost of ownership, it's including, all the servicing. I've done a few cosmetic things that I didn't need to do. I may have bought some things that I didn't need to buy. I've kind of not included too many.
Yeah.
But, it's around about £9,000.
Sure.
And I still think that's a great price, for me to have spent as an everyday car, that I've beaten and it's now showing signs of rust and things like that. Whereas, when you now think, well, what could I go out and buy? If you bought a Tiptronic, you could probably buy one for 11,000, maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe 11.5. That, had, like you say, maybe higher miles, slightly sketchy history. It's not going to be immaculate, and it's probably not going to increase in value significantly as a really good one would.
Mm-hmm.
But there's still a step into the market. Whereas in Australia, I feel like there's people who've been looking and thinking this is unsustainable, and it has just kept going on that upward curve.
Well, the problem you got, and I had a discussion with the mechanic that overhauled the engine in my 356 only a few weeks ago, and the people that are now buying the cars, not just 996s. We actually spoke about air-cooled cars. We spoke about G-series cars, okay, 80s, 911s. And he said the people are buying them. They're paying 100, 150 grand for these cars that were 50 2 years ago, right? But a good one would cost you 80 2 years ago. So if you bought 150, you're staring down the barrel of a 30 grand solution to get it as good as the 80 grand car would be. The problem, he said the problem I've got now is people are coming in to see me. They spent 150 on this car and they've still got the 30 grand to spend, but they've stretched themselves to spend the 150. So they're not fixing them. He said he reckons in a few years to come, there's going to be cars on the market that need a lot of work that people couldn't afford to do the work too because they put all their pennies into buying the car thinking it's an appreciating asset. But the reality is because they're not doing the maintenance, it's going to depreciate in value. So the gap's just going to get bigger to the new purchaser.
Yeah, it's a strange one. Maybe we should just go and start a dealership.
What, and be responsible to these people? I've got to sleep at night, Ajmal.
Oh, that is true. Yes. Well, I'll just invest from here once.
And I
haven't got any money.
I love the cars, right? I don't need them to be a disposable widget.
Yeah.
Which they would become if you had to deal in these cars, wouldn't they?
Oh, and that's the funny thing that I always get from people is they say, oh, but it's great that it's worth, mine is worth more money. Not a lot more money, because when you start with not a lot, and it doubles in price even, it's not a lot of money.
Yeah.
And we say, have you thought about selling your own
So
car?
if you paid $1 million for it and it would double in value, you'd be okay.
Yeah, exactly. But when you paid $6.5 grand and it's gone up to 10 or 11 or 12, it's neither here nor there. And when someone says, "Oh, have you thought about just cashing in?" and you think, "I'd never be able to buy another one."
Yeah, that's right. If you sold it, you want to go to the next level. Let's say you want to get a half decent 997. That's going to cost you 30 now, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it just doesn't make any difference.
I'm in the same boat with my 356. Yeah. Like just this week, a 356 changed hands in Australia that's very comparable to mine for an exorbitant amount of money.
Oh, wow.
Right. And I thought to myself, if I cashed in, that money would go somewhere else. I wouldn't go and put that on into another car that would give me as much joy as my 356. So the reality is I can't see a time in my life that I'll get myself in a situation where I need to sell that car.
Yeah.
Like I don't have a gambling problem or anything like that.
You sure?
Well, I'm betting on this. I'm betting on people listening to this podcast. That's about as bad as it gets.
Well, I'm betting on boxsters with vegetation growing in them becoming huge sensation. Yeah, boxster's becoming huge sensations, and people paying tens of thousands of pounds for whatever's growing in them.
I'm going to tell you, I feel like the right video on that car could go viral for you.
I don't know if it could now.
Not just what's growing in it causing a virus. I'm talking about the actual video going viral.
I thought you meant of me getting the virus.
No, I genuinely reckon you could. I think this could come good as one of those ironic wanker Porsche owners. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my God, no, you've just reminded me of something where you said wanker Porsche owner. Something happened. I went out on Friday with some friends for lunch, and I did something so horrific, and I hate myself, and it was just because I wasn't concentrating. So I arrive at the restaurant, and there's a parking space right outside the front door,
where I always park.
Yeah. So I was in my 911, and I go, oh, I'm going to reverse in there, but a car pulls up behind me, and there's a space I can see 2 cars ahead. So I just pull into that. I reverse into that.
Yep.
Straight in. I get out, and there's a guy in a Range Rover in the next parking space, and he's struggling to get out. He's got a wheelchair and stuff like that. And I go over and I say, oh, do you need a hand? And he goes, no, I'm okay. It's fine. So I run inside because I'm late, as I always am. Have lunch. I'm sat there for like 3.5 hours.
You parked in an Acrod spot, weren't you?
I'm parked in a table. I come out and I see it under the car, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm right in front of the restaurant. It's like, and everybody was still thinking, oh God, wanker Porsche driver. And it's just, I couldn't believe it. And you know when you go, put my hat down, get in the car, and drive off.
Yep.
I felt awful. I felt sick.
How good was the parking spot though?
No, but the thing is, the one that was 2 cars away would have been just as good if that car hadn't pulled up behind me. And
so you did the right thing by being courteous and letting that person behind you have that spot, right?
Well, no.
The car behind you. Did the car behind you want that spot? Is that why you moved up? Or just the fact you were up your clacker?
I wanted the spot, so I stopped to reverse into it, but they pulled behind me too close.
Ah, I'm with you.
So I couldn't reverse into the space, so I just went a little bit further.
Yeah, straight into the blue one.
Available.
Got it, righto.
Well, it's got the logo that says it's not for everybody in the middle. And
you didn't get out of the car with a white stick?
Oh, no, I didn't see it. I just didn't see the logo on the floor, and I felt so embarrassed. All day, I felt just a little bit sick about it.
Classic.
So, yeah.
Especially considering there was someone in a wheelchair behind you.
Well, hopefully not in the car behind, but definitely the guy. I mean, the guy, I could understand now when I went over and said, oh, do you need a hand? And he was probably thinking, get lost, you dickhead. And he'd be right. I'm sorry.
Hey.
He'd be right about
that. Have you got anyone lined up for our next guest next week?
I've got someone bobbling. Can I say who it is?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Brock of 996 Road Trip.
Does he know this yet?
Yes.
Okay, good. That's excellent. Yeah.
He's keen.
Yep. How's Magnus coming along?
Sorry?
How's Magnus coming along?
The Magnus?
Yeah. Did he not get in touch with you during the week after last week's podcast?
No. He. Do you know what? Shockingly, he did not listen to the last one. And I've actually been waiting since we spoke to Bart. I've been waiting for Nick Cave to contact me.
Oh, by the way, I checked after that podcast. Nick Cave is Australian.
Well, I thought he was Australian for one reason. Do you know why? Because he did some work in the 90s with Kylie.
Okay. Anyway.
But the thing is, so I need to get back in touch with Brock because it's that thing when we talk to Lara, it's the same thing in the time differences.
Oh, don't worry about that.
Well, I mean, she was 8 hours behind. You're 8 hours ahead. He's
don't worry about it. Look, we'll do it. I'll tell you what favour we'll do him, right? I'm ahead of him. I'm in a different day to him, right?
Yep.
Tell him if he comes on, I'll find out where he lives and I'll give him the lotto numbers before they get drawn.
All right.
Because I'll already know him.
Well, you could kind of do that for me as well because,
you don't need him.
For me as well.
Look.
All right, yeah.
Your life is rich in experience.
Yeah. I'd rather it was richer financially as well.
I tell you what, if you play your cards right, I'll give you the numbers and you can go buy a 2012 Audi A3 for your wife, okay?
Oh my God. She doesn't care now. If I said I was changing it, she'd kill me. But also, so yeah, I was thinking maybe we should have some non-Porsche people on as well, because, also, we were talking about Sarah, who's the LA dismantler. I think she's keen to come on as well.
You reach out to her. Let's get her on next week if you can't get hold of Brock.
Okay, let's do that. But
don't worry about the time difference. We'll tell her. Well, actually, that's not fair to say. What I mean is, we'll work around her time zone that's comfortable for her.
Okay.
All right.
I'll give her our preferred times and just see what she says.
And if we work on this time, the time that seems like it's just early morning for them.
Yep.
Unless they're morning haters, she won't be. She's in LA. That'd be like living in Perth. Everyone gets up early. You know what I mean? And they actually live life because the sun comes out.
True. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we wait for the sun to come out, so we hibernate for days. But the thing that I was thinking was, I've been going down these Instagram holes.
Oh, yeah.
Story holes recently. And it's stuff that's coming up that reminds me very much of the 80s. You know, like there's, women in stockings and heels and underwear lying under Porsches.
Is this because you looked at Porsche Talk?
No, it's not that. It's just, people who post these kind of pictures.
Sure.
And I think, how can they have become so commonplace again?
Mm-hmm.
Because, what's the point? I don't understand what the point of those is. And then I see someone do a post and it might turn out that person is a woman and she's driving a really good car. And then I hate myself for looking at the comments, because some of the comments are they're just rubbish. They're just from, I can only describe as cavemen saying certain things, whereas I think, oh, that's a really cool car, or that's, someone doing something really cool, or someone going around a track in a car. I might think, oh, really great things, but other people zone in on, oh, it's a young blonde woman driving it. And I think,
what are you doing? Why are you even looking at the comments? It's not even your drama.
I know, but still.
And even worse, especially after talking to Lara.
Yep.
She can zone it out. She's not taking on the weight of the world on this.
Well, no, it's not that she can zone it out. I think she has to zone it out.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
Because if she speaks about it, it makes it worse for her. So if someone speaks out and says, guys, stop saying this stuff, it's not very inclusive for everybody in a particular community, automotive community or Porsche community. Porsche community is probably better than most, I think.
The Ferrari one's pretty grim for this stuff, because I'm in a number of Ferrari groups in Europe, and some of the posts, I call people out on it.
Yeah, and I think it's my duty to call it out, so I have to say something. And then, but because I know those people who are the subject of those comments, they can't, because they give it oxygen and they just make it worse for themselves.
Yeah, but you've also got to consider, and Lara brought this point up. Often, the young lady that's objectified in these images, right? She's actually generating income out of that. So by not doing it, there's also, do you have the moral high ground to put this person out of work? This is the point she brought up because of her background in modelling. She said, I know women that do this type of stuff, And that's the flip side of the coin, that, and because they're being objectified like this, is it not empowering to them to choose to be objectified rather than being, like if a woman, that's like saying if a woman dresses what in your mind is inappropriately when she walks down the street, saying that she's attracting unwanted attention, right? Is the other side of that discussion not, should she not be allowed to do whatever she wants?
So there's a couple of arguments.
There is, and I'm open to both. I don't have an opinion on either way,
Yeah, because for me, it's anything that's objectification, I think is wrong. If someone is choosing to, model alongside a car or something like that, it's fine. But if someone says, actually, I am going to do a photo shoot and I'm going to take a car and I'm going to take a woman in her underwear in high heels and have her draped on the car.
Yep.
Now, if that job is created by a man for other men to look and they're paying said female to do that, to me, that's wrong.
Okay.
But also there's the bit, we have to call it out. When you call it out and you think, I thought we were more evolved as, as humans, as people, as, when you think about all the stuff that happened in the 70s, 80s, even the 90s, we thought we'd all moved on. But sometimes I see stuff and I see comments and things like that, and I feel people hide behind social media and anonymity online. And the stuff that's said makes you think, oh my God, we're still back there. And I feel like I don't want guests on talking about it. I would like guests on who are talking about, like Sarah from LA Dismantle. I want her to talk about her business. I want her to talk about what she's doing in the community. She is doing very female-focused groups and communities and things like that. I want to hear about those.
Sure.
I don't want to hear what kind of abuse she gets in her inbox.
Oh, who does?
Because that does give... Yeah, because that gives those people oxygen, and it will only make it worse for her. But it would be good to have regular female guests on who are prominent in.
Reach out to Sarah. Let's get her on next week. Let's see if she'll come on.
Yeah, let's get her on. But I think it's the automotive community rather than just the Porsche community.
What about also Renee, who drove the 356 on 7 continents? Valkyrie Racing, Renee.
Oh, yes. He's a good shout. Yes. I was thinking of getting messaging what's her name, but she's probably a bit too famous now. But...
Who are you talking about?
No, Abby Heaton, is it? She was the professional driver on the Grand Tour.
Don't know it.
The show that Jeremy Clarkson, James May, and Richard Hammond did on Amazon.
Sure. Yep.
She was the professional driver on.
Never saw an episode of it.
I can't comment on it because I'm going to reach out to her and see if she wants to come on. But they did a couple recently, which, by the way, she wasn't in.
Yes.
But they were specials, and it felt like the time was done. There's one they did about, I think it was Citroen. Just the whole thing was about Citroen, and it was just. It felt like, it had the Benny Hill theme tune running in the background. It probably should have done. It's honestly...
Speaking of scantily clad women.
Exactly.
Benny
it just
Hill.
Felt like it was of a time
Oh, you've gone
so
out
long
on me.
ago.
Yeah.
Because... So...
I've got internet. I think you've got internet problems on me again, Ajmal. You're breaking up a little bit.
Not the internet.
Yes, you're back. You're back.
It's because I speak too fast and the internet can't process it.
I reckon we call it quits.
Yeah, we should, because I was just about to go off.
Oh, you're breaking up on me again. You're killing me, Ajmal. What are you doing? Anyway, should we wait for him to come back? You coming back to me, Ajmal? Anytime now? Okay, while I'm waiting for Ajmal to come back, if he does come back for the finish of this episode, I just want to give everyone a reminder that we have this Timex chronograph watch. Oh, hang on, I can hear Ajmal again. He's coming back. And I'll just show everyone again. If you want this as a giveaway item, brand new, look, still got tags and everything on it. It's got the face there. It's like a dark green. Looks very outdoors. In fact, I think this half chance Bear Grylls would wear this. And get in touch with us. I'd love it if you actually watch the video, which Ajmal's going to post on his channel. He doesn't know it yet because he is still offline. But regardless, you're back, Ajmal?
I'm here. I'll turn the video off just in case it was my bandwidth.
Oh, okay. And so we will send this out. I'll send this out to whoever reaches out to us if you want it. Please reach out to us if you do want it. Don't just reach out to us because you think it's a freebie. And please think about following us on iTunes, subscribing on Spotify, subscribe to Ajmal's channel if you're watching this on video. And appreciate your time this week, Ajmal. We will be back again next episode, hopefully with another guest.
Yes. And I'll come up with the next giveaway.
Oh, interesting. I've got stacks of stuff here from previous sponsors, so we'll keep rolling this stuff out if people take it. And including, I've got some books, I've got some magazines, I've actually got some other watches. And we'll go from there. So Thank you, everybody, for listening. And have a great week. Thanks, Ajmal.
Catch you next time.